welcome to Pulse of Africa channel. If you're joining us for the first time, don't hesitate to subscribe to our channel, like, and share this video. Your support helps us reach more people. Disclaimer: this video is based on reliable public sources, official statements, and credible online content. It is meant for educational, analytical, and informational purposes only. We do not endorse hate, misinformation, or political instability. The United Nations Security Council held an emergency meeting following devastating US-led airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. In a fiery speech, Russia's ambassador to the UN, Vasily Nebenzya, issued a chilling warning: the world is now on the brink of a catastrophic escalation, and Washington has opened Pandora's box. The emergency session was called by Guyana, the current president of the Security Council, after US and Israeli forces launched coordinated missile and bomb attacks on 3 Iranian nuclear sites, Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan, all of which are under IAEA safeguards. Ambassador Nebenzya did not hold back, condemning the strikes as irresponsible, dangerous, and provocative, and accusing the US of gambling with the safety of humanity as a whole. Nebenzya argued that Washington, in full coordination with Israel, carried out an unprovoked attacks on sovereign Iranian soil, further destabilizing an already volatile Middle East. He emphasized that these strikes were not just an assault on Iran but a direct threat to global nuclear security. Nebenzya warned, adding that the IAEA must urgently assess the fallout. He stressed that strikes on safeguarded nuclear facilities set a dangerous precedent, undermining decades of non-proliferation efforts. The Russian ambassador did not mince words when addressing Western nations, particularly the US and UK, accusing them of staggering hypocrisy. He also drew a harsh parallel to the 2003 Iraq War, recalling how then US Secretary of State Colin Powell falsely claimed Iraq had WMDs. "Today we are being fed the same fairy tales to justify aggression," he declared. Nebenzya urged the Security Council to take decisive action, warning that inaction would lead to further escalation. Now, let's listen to the speech. We'll be back with further analysis.
Madam President, we appreciate the Presidency of Guyana for quickly organizing today's UN Security Council meeting in response to the highly dangerous developments in the Middle East, which have been worsened by the recent US strikes on Iranian sites. We thank the UN Secretary-General for his address, as well as Assistant Secretary-General Miroslav Jenka and Rafael Grossi for their briefings. Russia strongly condemns the irresponsible, dangerous, and provocative actions taken by the USA against Iran, a sovereign UN member state. Early on June 22, the US Air Force, in full coordination with the Israeli Air Force, which has been illegally striking Iranian infrastructure for over a week, launched an unprovoked attack on 3 IAEA safeguarded nuclear sites in Iran, Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. By doing so, Washington has once again ignored the international community's stance, showing its willingness to overlook the deaths of thousands of Palestinian civilians and to endanger global security for the sake of its Israeli ally. The US has opened a Pandora's box, and no one can predict the consequences. Over the past 10 days, IAEA's Rafael Grossi repeatedly warned that strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities could have unpredictable effects, threatening nuclear safety and security worldwide. Yet Washington remains indifferent to the radiological risks and the danger to civilians, including women and children. The US, like Israel, acts as if it has the authority to enforce its own version of justice, proving its readiness to violate international law to maintain global dominance. No one authorized the US to act this way. Russia offered mediation to resolve the Iranian nuclear issue peacefully, but the US rejected diplomacy. The US leadership bears full responsibility for these actions, openly disregarding international law. The UN Charter, Security Council resolutions, including 487 and 2231, and the NPT. 2 days ago, many delegations, including US allies, called for de-escalation and dialogue, yet the US ignored these appeals, choosing instead to follow Israel's lead in escalating tensions. Today the US will likely hypocritically claim readiness for negotiations, as if its bombings never happened, while attempting to blame Iran for undermining stability. But the world will not be fooled. In March, US intelligence admitted it had no evidence of Iran pursuing nuclear weapons, just as in 2003, when false claims about WMDs justified the invasion of Iraq. History repeats itself, proving the US has learned nothing. It is regrettable that some here lack the courage to condemn Washington's actions. The UK's call for Iran to show restraint after Iran was bombed is absurd hypocrisy. The same countries fueling tensions now pretend to advocate peace. Regarding Resolution 2231, the recent escalation has reached unprecedented levels. The IAEA must provide a thorough, impartial assessment of the radiological consequences of the US strikes. These attacks on Iran's nuclear sites by an NPT depository state, no less, severely undermine the non-proliferation regime, the IAEA's authority, and global nuclear security. Russia, as a responsible Security Council member, cannot accept this. Iran has the right to a peaceful nuclear program under the NPT, yet the US has destroyed years of diplomatic progress. Israel, which refuses to join the NPT, faces no IAEA scrutiny, while Iran, the most monitored country, is bombed instead of supported. The IAEA's silence on Israel's non-compliance is outrageous. Unless escalation stops, the Middle East risks a large-scale conflict, potentially leading to nuclear catastrophe. We demand an immediate halt to US and Israeli aggression, restraint from all parties, and a return to diplomacy. But words alone are not enough. The Security Council must act, issuing a collective decision, condemning attacks on IAEA-protected nuclear sites. Russia, China, and Pakistan have proposed a balanced draft resolution, calling for an immediate ceasefire and diplomatic solutions, reflecting the majority's stance from recent meetings. We urge all members to support this resolution. Without a firm Council stance, further escalation is inevitable. Thank you.
This is not just another geopolitical clash, this is a potential turning point. Russia's warning is not mere rhetoric. The direct bombing of nuclear sites is unprecedented, and the risks of radioactive fallout or further military escalation are real. The US and Israel argue they are preventing a nuclear Iran, but Russia and others see this as a reckless power play that could ignite a wider war. Here are the key questions to consider. 1. Will the UN Security Council pass Russia's resolution, or will Western vetoes block it? 2. How will Iran respond? A direct retaliation could spiral into full-blown conflict. 3. Is the world sleepwalking into another catastrophic war? One thing is clear, the stakes have never been higher. The situation is developing rapidly, and you won't want to miss what happens next. Subscribe to Pulse of Africa now for in-depth analysis, breaking updates, and expert insights on this crisis and other major global events, including our prestigious Africa continent. Like this video if you found it informative, and share your thoughts below in the comments. Do you think the US strikes were justified, or is Russia right about the dangers ahead? Share this report to spread awareness. The world needs to pay attention.